Greetings, it is I, Susie Q. What's showing up in your field? What's lighting you up, turning you on, and illuminating the miracles in your gorgeous, gorgeous life? Today, we're going to be talking about what is my purpose. What is my purpose, people? Why am I here and what am I supposed to do? And what is my purpose? So if you're a person that is kind of asking those questions, and it doesn't matter what age you are or where you come from or what culture or what other kind of way of looking at it, is that we have opportunities to really look at what is our purpose. And it's fascinating because a lot of people don't even know what their purpose is, and we don't know our lessons, and we're just like, what are we doing? Are we just floating in space? Or, these sort of kinds of consciousness. So, what I'd like to say about what that purpose is, what is my purpose? And so, the Susie definition would be whatever you've been doing in this lifetime from the time that you were a little bitty you, and now grown up you, or maybe grandmother you, or grandfather you, is that whatever you have been doing since the very beginning of your first breath, your purpose has already been shown and been evident with a beautiful mystery. It's super powerful. So sometimes they're like, well, what is my purpose? I mean, I don't even know what my purpose is in this life. So what we would do is we'd kind of go back in time a little bit in this present life, right? Is start looking at some of the qualities that really make sense for you. Maybe you were, for example, I was a real estate broker for maybe 25 years, and then I left as a real estate agent, and then I was a broker, and then I had agents under me in different times in that career. But even with that bandwidth of, let's just say, the Susie real estate brokerage person, that there were still purposes there that were completely in alignment with my overall divine purpose of being here. And so I would have to say my divine purpose, if I could really kind of pin it down into just a few words, is that I help other people and other people help me. I help other people and other people help me. And so that's what was showing up even with those 25 years in real estate, doing the all kinds of development work and land deals and development deals and all kinds of deals. Through all of that, I was assisting not only my own self, but with groups of people. And so that would be my divine purpose. So even if you're like going, well, I had this job, and this job, and I don't see any purpose from any of that, none of it kind of matches those other experiences that I had in my lifetime. Or maybe some person maybe has had a luxurious life, where it was more simple. They didn't have to go out and go that grind and that hustle energy. But we'll start seeing kind of that sense of awareness that whatever we've been doing since the time that we took our first breath, we've been living our purpose all along. And so when we start looking at that little you, right, there might be some little patterns or tendencies that were really right for you, and especially in early childhood. These little ones, right, especially the little ones that are here on the planet now, they're super spectacular and they're really illuminating so much goodness for each one of us. But even now, if you look back at your little self and you start noticing some things that you really loved. Maybe you like to color when you were little. Maybe you like to dance. Maybe you like to be in nature. Maybe you like to read books. Maybe you really like reading books. So let's just say a little person, maybe started with reading books and maybe became more knowledgeable about more things. So maybe sometimes that purpose might be seeking more knowledge, seeking more awareness of knowledge and understanding of other cultures and other types of beings and other types of experiences. Maybe that is about knowledge. Let's just say that you've got little Susie or little you, and then you're really about art, and you're really about drawing and creating beautiful art. And so that might be something that is going to be taking you through your entire lifetime in this one, even though you're like, well, I'm not really doing my art, or I'm not really, accessing it, but maybe you're observing art. Maybe that you are kind of initiating some new ways to express your own creativity with art. Maybe that's already for you. So for example, like for me, I do a lot with color StoryTeller. I have a planner and I have all my details and my effective action pieces, but I do art all around it. So that's a way to feel expressed with that divine purpose. Let's just say divine purpose could be something like, being out in nature. Maybe it could be somebody that really seeks being in nature and exploring the plant world and the animal kingdom world and the bird world and all these other senses of being, even with the ocean, with some of those beautiful sensitivities with that sense of being in the natural world, right? And so that might be somebody that might have had a fascination with, like I used to do some nonprofit work back in Houston. It was the Texas Committee on Natural Resources. And so I was doing kind of the bookkeeping and kind of managing some stuff there. But it was really kind of neat when we went out in nature. And it was kind of like, okay, we're going to take a hike, and we had this great guy that knows all about the plant life. But basically, what we would do is we would just kind of look down at the ground and then just see maybe one example of, they call it the Venus flytrap. I don't even know if it's what that is, but there was a teeny tiny one that we were observing, and that's really all that we did. We went to this one place where we could see it kind of opening up a little bit and then closing. But that right there is really kind of interesting when we start going deeper into from the macro to the micro, and to all of these different ways of looking at things. We can see the smallest of things and then get more wisdom, and we start learning more about the world we live in, right? So these could be purposes too, is how do we activate those centers of curiosity that really pique our own interest to go deeper. And even if it's like, Susie, I don't think I'm doing it, I don't know my purpose. And Susie, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing here. If you're like, I'm like, I don't want to say how old I am, but anyway, I've been here a while. But when you start really looking at it and going back and being really gentle with yourself, really loving yourself and being gentle and soft with that sense of like, what is my purpose, is you start looking at all of the threads that you've been living with, all of these different things, these step to step to step occurrences that are showing up for you. And it's not a pattern that was imposed on you. It's not something that you have to do, but you just start having these tendencies, like for people that do the healing work, the chiropractors, the naturopaths, those holistic people, they've probably been doing it their whole life, and even our musicians, when we look at our musicians, what is their divine purpose? Well, it's really about, I think, I would put it this way, it's about sound frequency. And so for my musician buddies, I've had many musician buddies in my life, and it's been super fun, but we get to take a look at what is that divine purpose. It's pretty clear. It's about sound frequency, right? So whatever you're creating in your field, looking at your life purpose, you don't need to say, I don't have a purpose. You've been living it. So every moment and every breath is your divine purpose. You're living your divine purpose. And maybe maybe you were a writer, and then you had writer's block, or you weren't able to access that. But just imagine all the other times when you were, maybe doodling and writing, and maybe you were getting insights. Maybe you were writing poetry. Maybe you were, writing a script, or kind of something, something big, a book, right? But then you start noticing that, you hadn't been doing it for a while, but that doesn't mean that it was bad that you weren't doing it anymore. It just means that we have times, and time is really kind of a funny way of looking at life. But when we really look at it, that you have an interest in writing a book or writing your thoughts or your memoirs, that is really powerful. And so that would be a divine purpose for a person who is a writer. That would be the purpose. But maybe they're not doing it all the time. It doesn't matter. Maybe they're living life large. Maybe they're experiencing new places. Maybe they're traveling. Maybe they're having family and children and grandchildren. But even with all of that, a lot of those big bandwidths of energies of all these beautiful consciousness beings that we love, is that is actually kind of writing the book, or writing the Akashic records, right? So even if you're a writer and you feel like you're not really doing what you want to do, you can just write a letter to a person. You could write a note to somebody. You could give an anonymous, beautiful written piece to somebody and not say who did it. So these are really neat things when we look at life purpose. And because I know a lot of times with the QHHT work that I do, is that we look for two big. I think for me, this is for my sense of consciousness, is we're looking for two big key components through the QHHT with hypnosis sessions. Is that we want to get guidance for the person who's on the daybed in the hypnosis state. We're looking for from past lives, moving from that death scene. We don't take them through the death scene, but we go beyond that, and then we start visiting with their spirit, right? Their spirit, and so we start asking, what is the divine purpose of this lifetime? Not of the lifetime now, but from a past life or a future life, right? So things can go across all time and all space. But then that's where we start getting that divine purpose from another soul aspect of of my clients, and then we get to look at what was the divine purpose. We get that after at spirit, right? After they've already passed, they've already left the that field of awareness, right? And also we look at the divine lessons in that lifetime. And so when we're looking at things from the past, present, or future, and getting some kind of more discernment, is that we get that guidance from another perspective, another soul aspect, right? So we're all connected, right? Is that we start getting those answers, and those answers that we're really seeking is life purpose and lessons that this person can bring forward. Okay, so maybe it's from this another timeline or another place or another kind of realm of consciousness, but we want to get as much guidance as we can to help the person now. Okay, so everything we're doing, past, present, future, concurrent running timelines, or anything else, strange and unusual, is we want to get guidance that can help the person who's boots on the ground, baby, boots on the ground, that are experiencing all of these amazing things. And the key here is that we help people find better solutions through some of the Akashic records or through the QHHT work. It's very, very powerful. And when you start looking at your divine purpose, I would ask you as a task or as a prayer or as a blessing, that you really own up to what you do with your life purpose, that you know that you have that life purpose and you're continuing to expand and grow. Certainly when we were younger, having kids and all kinds of busy stuff, right? So sometimes we get distracted a little bit. Not distracted, we were doing what our purpose was. That purpose was loving our children, loving our grandchildren, loving our partners, right? And so that's been really, really cool. So look at your life purpose, think about it, contemplate on it. You can meditate on it, but you already know. You already know. You already know, but you may be kind of skipping around, like you're like, I don't even really know what it is. I don't even know what it means. What's Susie talking about? Just meditate, go into a calm state, and kind of discern from your path in this lifetime as you, right? Is notice the tendencies and the beautiful gifts that you've been able to broadcast out to others. When you start broadcasting out those energies of the art, the music, the writing, the dance, the play, the fun, the happiness, the joy, and all of that. Look at that and notice what if you could just define it for yourself. What is your purpose? Put it into a little sentence and just go, I claim that I'm a happy, beautiful being. I'm happy to be here. It could be just that simple. And that state of beingness is really, I think, where all the juice is. So have a great day and namaste.